Welcome to the Home Team, the show where no matter who you root for, here you're a part of the home team. I'm your host, Wyatt Bagnall, and today we are previewing week 2 of the 2025 NFL season. Before we jump in, hit like, hit subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And without any further ado, let's break down week 2, shall we? So, Thursday Night Football. The Washington Commanders go to Green Bay and take on the Packers. These are two teams that both look pretty good in week 1, which I think that getting a matchup like this early on, especially coming off of each of them winning pretty dominantly, I would say. Um, I think that that's going to give us a lot of context about both of these teams moving forward. It's at Green Bay, which is, I would say, a nice advantage for the Packers, but I would also say that Washington is a team that is well equipped to go on the road. Um, in terms of what I think these teams do have, I think Green Bay's got a slightly better defense. They might not be, the greatest bunch in the world, but they're a team that's really, really ascending in that. I will be curious exactly if they're going to keep Micah Parsons as, um, I don't want to say it's a snap count because I don't think they ever said that they have like a specific target number for him, but it's more just a feel thing. I would wonder if we're getting to the point where they're just going to let him go fully. I believe it was said that he didn't need to take any shots for his back last week, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if he's just a full go for the Packers, which I think would be much to their benefit because Washington's got a lot of things, but dominant tackles isn't necessarily one of them. Jaden Daniels can do a lot. He's got to hit a few more throws that he missed last week where we saw a lot of rust from offenses, but in a game against the Packers and not the Giants, those are going to be even more important. So I'm really curious to see how both of those things line up. I think if you had to pick this game, I would probably lean the Packers to win this game, although I fully acknowledge that Washington on their best day is as dangerous as almost anyone. But I just think Green Bay is a little more well rounded on the whole. And it being in Green Bay, them have feeling like they've got a ton of momentum. Like they beat a better team in week 1. They beat a team that everybody thinks should still be a good team. Now only time will tell, but uh, at least by like our initial assumptions, the Lions are a good team. So I think Green Bay's coming into this game very confident, and I think that they'll probably get this one done. On to the Sunday slate. So Cleveland at Baltimore. Both of these teams coming off of really close losses. I believe they both had 1 point losses. Brutal. They both happened in very different ways. Cleveland's defense is going to be the key to this game if the Browns are going to find a way to win. They did a lot to really stifle the Bengals in their passing game, but obviously the Ravens are a different kind of team where their offense is not built around the pass, it's built around the run, and we're gonna have to see if Cleveland's gonna be able to hold up against that. Not to mention the Ravens' defense is a whole lot better than the Bengals' defense, despite what happened at the end of Week 1 for Baltimore. That group still figures to be a very good defense. I think that there's not much dispute here that Baltimore should be the team that wins this game, and I'm going to take them to win this game. Every once in a while, we see Baltimore drop a weird game, but I think coming off of the Bills' loss, they're going to come into this game pretty motivated to make a statement, and unfortunately for the Browns, that's on them. And if it's and this also just puts Cleveland in a big hole as well, and just they could start off 0-2 with 2 division losses, which would just be it's a tough way to start the year, man. All right, Jacksonville at Cincinnati. Another strange one where, despite getting a win, Cincinnati was not overall impressive. And despite Jacksonville actually looking pretty decent against Carolina, I just have no faith in Jacksonville. They feel like they're a team that just refuses to get out of their own way. And, I mean, Cincinnati's kind of the same. I am going to, against my better judgment, take the Bengals here. They're in Cincinnati. They've done all this work and put a huge emphasis on starting out strong, and I don't think that they should be happy with anything about that Browns game other than the fact that they won it. Uh, Jacksonville's another team where, hey, if you're going to be a contender, then you got to be able to handle Jacksonville on your home field. So I'm going to take the Bengals, despite the fact that team, man, despite the win, they still look like they might be starting slow. Giants at Cowboys. Ooh. Back-to-back NFC East games for both of those teams. They both start with 2. Okay. So these two teams both lost in week 1. Giants losing to Washington and Dallas losing to Philadelphia. But they both lost for very different reasons. The Giants offense just couldn't get going at all. And Dallas really took it down to the end, but just some crucial, like, they quite literally dropped the biggest plays in the game. Ooh. There's going to be a game where the Giants' defensive line manages to win them one. It feels like the Cowboys could be that kind of team because it feels like Dallas wants to throw the ball first and use that to set up the run rather than run the ball to set up the pass. But I think I'm going to still take Dallas. Despite the loss, despite a whole lot of things, they still took Philadelphia to the very end and gave the Eagles really everything that they could handle. And I have a hard time believing that the Giants are going to be able to do much to really disrupt them. I mean, if the Cowboys' offensive line just collapses in on itself, then maybe. But that Giants offense has to show me you can do literally anything before I pick them. So I'm going to go Dallas. Okay, Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. Another division game for the Bears. Okay. Neither team won in week 1. Detroit obviously got dispatched by Green Bay, so they have another back-to-back division schedule to start the year, which that's not a time where either one of these teams want to go 0-2. And Chicago loses to Minnesota on Monday Night Football. Honestly, the team that looked more impressive just when they played was Chicago, but how much of that is just that perhaps the Vikings really just needed some time to get settled in? See, that's the problem right there. Is we all think that Minnesota and Green Bay and Detroit are supposed to be good teams. We don't fully know what Chicago's supposed to be right now. They're a team that everyone acknowledges is talented, but we don't really have any level of certainty about if any of that talent works together, if Caleb Williams is talented enough to really do stuff. I mean, I was impressed with. There was a lot of good moments from the Bears offense in that game, but it would also just be offset by just a crucial mistake here or there that would keep them from scoring on the drive, despite moving the ball decently throughout the game, especially at the start of the game, which tells me that Ben Johnson's doing a good job of drawing up like the initial script, but then when they're getting away from that, it's a little less steady. Ooh. I'll take Detroit, but this feels like it could be an upset. If the Lions are going to take a long time to settle into the coordinator thing, the new coordinators, then this could easily be a Chicago game. But I'm going to give Detroit another chance before I start having to really view that week 1 performance as more than just being like, it's week 1, it's a fluke. If they come out and they look sluggish again and they lose to Chicago, we're going to have a little bit of a bigger conversation about the Lions. But for now, I'm willing to say that that's week 1, and I'm not going to completely jump off the Lions, and I'll say that they get the win against the Bears, who I think will probably put up a decent fight, especially at the start, and then we'll just see if they have the stamina to really go through the game and pull that out. Okay, New England at Miami. Man. Miami looked maybe the least impressive of any team in the league in week 1. The Giants would also be kind of up there with, at least the Giants offense would be up there, but the Dolphins on the whole, they just got shredded by the Colts. New England didn't look great in week 1, but they put up a decent enough fight against the Raiders. Um, I'm going to take New England to go into Miami and win this game. I think Miami, I think that they all seem to just have accepted that this is going to be a bad year and that at the end of this thing there's going to be a whole lot of change. I also kind of want to see the drama of Tyreek Hill flipping out again. That's just like the side of me that just wants chaos. Um, It's just I don't know. I feel like Miami's a powder keg. Like they're just waiting, and like the fuse is already lit. It just feels like this isn't a team that really believes in itself. This isn't a team that really believes that they have the right roster, that they have the right philosophy, that they have the right coaches, the right GM. Like it feels like nobody in Miami is believing in what's going on with the Dolphins, and it feels like the league caught up to the idea of like, okay, they're really fast, but that's really all they can do. Um, I think New England's going to try to win this game by making it ugly. Christian Gonzalez being hurt and potentially not playing again is a huge thing, but if they had him, I'd feel a lot better about it. But I'm going to take New England and go on the road and do that. Okay, 49ers at Saints. This should have been an easier game to predict and just should be layup 49ers, but as per usual, they decided to pick up some injuries, and they are crucial ones. George Kittle's been put on IR. I think he'll miss the next 4 games or so. Brock Purdy, there apparently is a good chance that he doesn't play this game. And I suppose this is one that I'll sort of caveat, I guess, with if Brock Purdy plays this game, the 49ers will win. If he doesn't play this game, I think the Saints will win, especially because it's in New Orleans. The Saints put up a good fight against the Cardinals. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest game you'll ever see, but I don't think we're going to be seeing a ton of pretty games from the Saints. But if you're going to get an undermanned team coming in there early in the year, it's as good an opportunity as ever, like for them to sneak a win. So, uh, I don't want to really say I'm hedging here, but it kind of feels like it. I think the last update I heard was that it's sort of leaning long shot that Brock Purdy plays, so I guess I'll have to pick the Saints. But um, if he plays, I think the Niners will win that game. But if not, I mean, hey, New Orleans, if you're not going to beat a team like that in that type of situation, then I mean, I don't know who you're going to beat. So that's one we'll see. That's one where I think that could just prove to be one of the weirdest games of the weekend. I would stay so far away from that game if I'm putting money on it. Okay, Buffalo at the Jets. Ooh, this could be a fun game. Uh, Buffalo and the Jets both coming off of a win, where the Bills obviously have the miraculous comeback against Baltimore, and then the Jets played a really close game with the Steelers, but ultimately came up a little bit short. This is another game where I'm going to be really, really curious to watch the Jets offense. And I don't think I've said those words in 3 or 4 years now. like, uh, the Jets, they showed signs of life on offense for the first time in a long time. And if they're able to do that again, then I think we'll actually have something interesting to talk about with the Jets, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure the Bills are going to go in there and beat them. But this is a game where if the Jets do win this game, awesome. If they don't, but it's competitive, I think that's still good, despite the fact that makes you 0-2. Um, I'm gonna take Buffalo, obviously, but my main curiosity for this game is more centered around the Jets. I think we all sort of know what the Bills are, roughly. It's a team that's pretty reliant on Josh Allen, but is still talented enough to compete for the Super Bowl. Seattle at Pittsburgh. Sort of a bigger game than people would probably think, especially for the Seahawks, where staring down 0-2 is not where they want to be. But Pittsburgh, this is also kind of big, where it's another sort of different look kind of team where they're going to throw a lot at you defensively. So the Steelers' offense is going to be tested. and we're gonna get a good look at that Steelers defense to see if they can step up and play better than in week one and at least stop the run. And I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba in particular gets a ton of targets. So I'm curious to watch both these teams because I feel like while Pittsburgh won, they probably weren't super thrilled about their defense. And while Seattle lost, they showed a lot of fight. And usually teams like that uh, make things difficult, especially if they're staring down, like starting 0-2 on the year. Um, if you do that, you're already looking at sort of desperate times right away. So, oh, also can't forget to mention DK Metcalf revenge game. Will DK Metcalf try to really go off and explode against the Seahawks? That'll go one of two ways. If they're losing this game, DK Metcalf will probably get ejected for fighting. If they're winning this game, he's gonna have a lot of showboating. There might be a taunting penalty or two in there. I bet you we're gonna get a big block or two out of DK Metcalf. Um, I'm gonna take Pittsburgh to win this game. It's in Pittsburgh. West Coast teams going to the East Coast. It's notoriously difficult. Um, and I think the Steelers at home are going to play a lot better defensively, and uh, the Steelers are going to be able to do enough to stifle Seattle, and then the Steeler offense is going to be able to do just enough to get this win. I think that the Seahawks defense could do a lot to sort of make things difficult, but I think Aaron Rodgers is smart enough, and I think the Steelers have just enough weapons and just enough on the offensive line to be able to overcome it. So I'll take the Steelers at home. Rams at Tennessee. Cam Ward is having a tough start to the career in terms of just scheduling breaks, where you start off with Denver, who time will tell, but they certainly have the potential to be the best defense in the league. And the Rams have also shown that they have the potential to do something similar, especially in their front seven. And guess what? Tennessee's not particularly strong on that offensive line. So I think this game really is pretty simple. The Rams are going to win this game, but this is just a test for Tennessee in a lot of ways. Like I don't think we're expecting a ton wins wise from the Titans. What we're hoping to see is that Cam Ward doesn't get absolutely destroyed under pressure, and that he's not getting bad habits sort of ingrained in his game because of the lack of readiness of the Titans roster around him. So I'm going to take the Rams to go to Tennessee and win. I doubt it's going to be a great day for the Titans offense. And you're probably going to hear people already talking about how good is Cam Ward really. People are going to start talking about Brian Callahan. And I think there's something to be said for the Callahan thing. But I do also think that they drew a tough couple of matchups to start the year. So I'll take the Rams to go to Tennessee and get that one done. Carolina at Arizona. It just feels like no matter what game Carolina plays, it's probably not a game everyone's super excited to watch. You know what I mean? I'll take Arizona to win this game, although I get the feeling kind of like the Saints game, this will probably be closer than it's supposed to be. I think it'll be really tough for Carolina to play that bad twice in a row, but I suppose you never put it past bad teams to do something like that. I just think the inconsistency of Arizona is going to give them a chance to at least make this a real game. But it's at home for the Cardinals. I'm going to take Arizona, but I think Carolina is going to give a slightly better account of themselves in this game. Denver at Indianapolis. Fun game, actually. I don't think we all had this one circled as a fun game, potentially, but the way Indianapolis played in week one certainly could make it that way. And I think this game is going to go a whole long way into telling us how real the Colts, and particularly the Colts offense, are. The Denver offense also has a whole lot to show. And I think that the Colts defense is not some formidable force. Like they're good. Like they're not some pushover defense, but you're not talking about like you're not going to Baltimore or Philadelphia or something like that to play a group of that caliber. Denver's offense needs to be a whole lot cleaner. And if they're not, then sort of like Detroit, if it happens twice in a row, now we have to sort of at least consider the idea that they're not going to perform to the level that we were expecting, despite the fact their defense might. So I'm going to take the Broncos to go to Indianapolis and win this game. But I am watching very closely on that Bronco offense. And if Indianapolis manages to win this game, and in particular, if Indianapolis manages to win this game because their offense plays really well against the Broncos defense, then we need to be looking at Indianapolis a little bit differently than potentially just this fringe playoff team and start talking about how, especially if Houston manages to lose and they're 0-2 and the Colts are 2-0, it means that the Colts are off to the kind of start that could potentially get them to win the AFC South. And that makes this a big game for both teams. But I'll take the Broncos because I think it's going to be really tough for that Broncos offense to be that bad 2 weeks in a row. Philadelphia at Kansas City. I cannot believe that this was not the Sunday night game. It's in that afternoon window, so it's still a primetime window. Well, not primetime, but it's in more of like the feature game window where they got all the other ones out of the way and there's only 3 on in that afternoon window. But this feels like the kind of game that should have been Sunday Night Football, right? Kansas City also staring down 0-2. That feels nasty. And Philadelphia, they obviously win against Dallas. It wasn't the most spectacular win, but it was a win. Philly, Kansas City. Man. I know which team I think is better. I also just have a hard time saying that Kansas City is about to go 0-2. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to take Philadelphia to go into Kansas City and win that game. I don't feel good about that. I'm not sure if I even want that to happen. But that Xavier Worthy injury is not fun, especially because they're saying even if he plays again in like relatively short order, because they're not even sure if he's going to need surgery or not, he's going to have a big shoulder brace on. Kelsey looks slower. I mean, Hollywood Brown's not a number 1 receiver. Ooh. It just feels like the Chiefs. It kind of feels like the 49ers thing where the Chiefs, they might just have like lost just enough people that they might have to do some miraculous stuff. And Philadelphia just feels like a tough draw to have when that's your situation. If Rashee Rice was in this game, maybe I would pick Kansas City, but well, I'll put it like this. If they win this game, Patrick Mahomes did some magical stuff, and that Chiefs defense stepped up to the plate big time. Feels gross to do it, but I'm going to pick the Eagles to go to Kansas City and put the Chiefs in an 0-2 hole, and I could look real stupid for that one. All right, Sunday Night Football. Atlanta at Minnesota. Minnesota starting off the year. 2 primetime games right away. Good for them. Falcons almost beat the Buccaneers to start the year. Oh, so close. And Minnesota, big comeback at the end to beat Chicago. What to do. They're both really talented teams. I'm going to take Minnesota. I think Kevin O'Connell is a much better coach than Raheem Morris. I think that Minnesota is more talented than Atlanta. And I just trust everything in Minnesota a lot more than the Falcons. Flores makes the Vikings defense really scary every single year. I don't think anybody describes the Atlanta defense as scary or complex or anything like that. The Falcons defense sort of just exists. Like, yes, they have a defense, but it's nothing really of note. Unless J.J. McCarthy only plays like he did in the first half, although it felt like he just settled in, and you have a win like that, it feels like a real confidence builder. I don't know. I think he's going to come out there and be a lot more comfortable than he was in Chicago. It's at Minnesota as well. Yeah, give me the Vikings. Monday, we actually have a doubleheader on Monday Night Football, and they are at different times. So we actually get to watch both of them. How exciting. Tampa Bay at Houston. Buccaneers, they beat the aforementioned Falcons, and the Texans lost to the Rams. Golly. That Houston offensive line really was bad. Can Tampa Bay take full advantage? Ooh. Ooh, I hate it, but give me the Texans. I think that the Texans defense is going to do better. I think that there's no way that the Texans don't have some plan to help hide that offensive line. And CJ Stroud's going to make a play or two. Tampa Bay could definitely win this game, and I don't know why I'm picking against them. I think it's just that I have a hard time seeing the Texans starting off that poorly. It's so weird. Like, you have an idea of these teams in your head in the preseason, and then all of a sudden week one comes and they lose this game, and it's not so much that you're thinking about, oh, I couldn't see them losing this game. It's like you're just thinking to yourself, oh, is this team really going to start 0-2? It's like it's the same thing with Kansas City. It's like, are they really going to start 0-2? Feels like they are, and it feels like Houston really could too. I'm going to take Houston just because I believe Houston's a better team than Atlanta, and Atlanta really gave the Buccaneers all they could handle, and I think that the Texans' defense is going to be the thing that's the difference. I think the Texans' defense can challenge the Buccaneers' offense more than the Falcons did. So I'll say Houston wins this game on the back of their defense, and not feel good at all about that pick. Chargers at Raiders. Chargers also with back-to-back time games. Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll meeting for the first time in the AFC West instead of the NFC West. Chargers beat the Chiefs week 1. Raiders beat the Patriots week 1. Give me the Chargers. I think defensively they're better. I think they got a better quarterback. I think they've got better weapons, especially given that Brock Bowers, even if he plays, is going to be a little hampered. Raiders really run blocked terribly. And if you're going to run block terribly, then the Chargers are going to be able to feast on that. And unless Gentry's going to really play above the level of most rookie running backs, which is, he might settle into that, but it feels like in the first 2 or 3 games, these guys sort of have a lot to adjust to in the NFL. I think the Chargers are going to try to make things complicated up front and let Derwin James and those kind of guys really go to work on Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers and everything there. That's assuming that Brock Bowers plays. I know that things were seeming optimistic. Yeah, give me the Chargers, mostly because I think the Raiders defense aren't going to have quite enough answers. Unless the Chargers offense is going to come back to earth big time, the fact that they were able to throw the ball and run the ball and play as effectively as they did against the Chiefs, I mean, I see no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it against the Raiders. So I will take the Chargers to win that game. All right, that is week 2. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Hope your teams come out of it happy, healthy, or at least healthier than my 49ers. And overall, hope you all get to watch it with some friends and have a great time. So thanks so much for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, and enjoy the games. Peace.